WNST, Taos in Baltimore, and WNST.net. Many things happening with Hoopology all weekend long, ordering pizzas, shoveling the snow and the ice out, and getting ready for the thaw and spring training. But the NFL never stops, not for long. We're going to be in Phoenix next week for the NFL owners' meetings. Who knows? The Raiders might wind up in Las Vegas, rules changes, breakfast with coaches and all that. But in the meantime, it's all draft talk and the backside of free agency. This guy covers the National Football League, but specifically the Jets and the Giants up there in the Big Apple for the Wall Street Journal. You can follow his journey out on Twitter at Jim Chair. You can also find him at WSJ, that's wallstreetjournal.com. He is Jim Cherusimi, one of our defending champions, coming back here to explain how Brandon Marshall wound up with the Giants instead of the Ravens. What's going on, Jim? How you been, man?
How are you? I mean, here on the East Coast, it's football weather, but there's no games to play.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the snowblower to just roll through the Meadowlands right now, and I know you are as well. Look, there's no off-season here, and I guess in your market where there's two teams, we're really gauging how much money all these teams have. To be a capologist or to be aware of the cap is to be a fan. If you don't understand the cap, none of this makes any sense to you this time of the year. But I guess in New York parlance, seeing one of the star players go from one franchise to the other, that doesn't happen real often in that market.
No, it doesn't. I mean, well, 2 years in a row it's now happened where the Jets lost a star player. Last year it was Damon Harrison who signed a big free agent deal with the Giants, and this offseason it's Brandon Marshall. Marshall took probably less than market value to sign with the Giants and stay in New York, but I think it's a really good move for the Giants. I think the Jets are in a little bit of a rebuilding stage, and the Giants are, in a win-now situation. They cut Victor Cruz earlier this offseason. They're adding a big target to kind of alleviate the pressure off of Odell Beckham. And Marshall has never made the playoffs in his career, so he's going to be a hungry player and probably not a distraction in the locker room.
Man, that's a crazy stat that he's never made the playoffs, right? I mean, and he had famously had, some personal issues and, sort of 5-6 years ago, you would have said, will he still be playing football? You probably would have said, maybe not, right? And, I mean, he's really sort of cleaned it up. New York's not good for everybody, but it's been okay for him, right?
Yeah, he's been a talent. He was great in his 2 seasons. It was his first season in New York in 2015. The Jets had 10 wins. They probably should have made the playoffs. Marshall had a career season.
Made Ryan Fitzpatrick look good, right?
Yeah. And I mean, last year there were a little rumblings of some disagreements in the locker room with Sheldon Richardson, but I think that was just as a result of losing. When the team's not doing well, everyone's frustrated. Marshall was involved in that a little bit. But he goes to a Giants team that is prime position to be one of the favorites in the NFC East and, probably a return to the playoffs. And they have a great receiving threat now. I mean, there's Marshall, Beckham, and Sterling Shepard. So that's a pretty good trio for Eli Manning.
Man, I remember coming up there, and I think I had you on the show about week 6. We went up, played the Giants, went up, played the Jets in back-to-back weeks, got our butts kicked, and I remember seeing the Giants, and they were really scuffling at the time, and all the signings on the defense, it wasn't really working out so great. Eli, wasn't getting protection, had no weapons, they had no running game, all that. They really turned it around, but more than that, 6 months later, not just turning around in a division where the Cowboys were so good last year, but boy, there is a little bit of turmoil going on, certainly in Washington, certainly in Philadelphia where they haven't figured it out at this point, and even in Dallas where I've talked to people down there last week and said they're not going to win 13 games next year. I mean, the bar was set very high and they had their opportunities, but where these quarterbacks land, that really is the story of this free agency period.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from the Jets' perspective, the free agent market for quarterbacks is now a little thin. I mean, the top guy is Jay Cutler. A lot of debate about whether he kind of can fit in the New York market. And then we got Chase Daniel, Josh McCown, perhaps Trevor Siemian and Brock Osweiler. Not exactly quarterbacks that you want to lead your team to the
Are you
Super Bowl.
betting against Geno Smith again, Jim Cherusimi? Are you doing that?
Well, it's funny because there was reports this week that Geno visited the Giants. And, the Giants are looking for a backup for Eli. Eli is an Iron Man. He never misses a start, but, as age catches up to him, you never know, and the Giants are taking a look at Geno Smith.
Well, everybody's taking a look at their cap number now and taking a look at the draft. We're now 4.5 weeks out. If you don't fill it now, you can fill it then, theoretically. Certainly the draft moves to Philadelphia this year. It's going to be fun for a lot of Ravens fans. I'm sure many of our fans are going to drive up 95 for that weekend up there. But the draft is really a box of chocolates this year because I haven't seen a mock draft anywhere that shows anything that looks like a solid top 6, top 8. There appears to be no shelf in this thing anymore.
Yeah, I mean, as always, you can kind of look to the New England Patriots as a barometer of what exactly anything in the league, right? And they were really active in free agency, and they traded away their first and third round pick for Brandon Cooks. So perhaps Bill Belichick is saying, you know what, we're not really that happy with the draft, or we're not that excited about the draft, and we're going to spend our money in free agency. They shelled out a big contract to cornerback Stephen Gilmore. So maybe, New England, as always, is the barometer for what to expect.
Well, they certainly have improved their lot to some degree and, making the big deal, getting a wide receiver for Tom Brady, something he hasn't had a whole lot of around there. There's no rest when they're doing what they're doing. And, you cover the Jets. For the Jets, for the Dolphins, Bills, they're playing for second place at this point continually. And, the Patriots just continue to reload. The Patriots have already won free agency a week into this thing.
Absolutely. I think it was eye-opening, if we could say in the first half of the Super Bowl that the Patriots were showing signs of age, right? The Falcons were running them off the field. It looked like their defense was slow. The Falcons were super fast. It looked like this is it. This is sort of the blueprint for how to beat the Patriots, and then we all saw what happened. So, I think New England, as you said, they're reloading. They never stop. Their competition seems a few notches below. But things change really fast in this league, and you have a good draft. You bring in a couple new young players. You bring in someone who wasn't expected to do much, and that could make a big impact in this league.
Jim Cherusimi covers all things NFL for the Wall Street Journal. You can also find him at Jim Chair out on Twitter as well. The last thing for you, I'm going out to the owners' meetings next week, and I'm expecting a lot of things to happen. Your publication, is dedicated really to business and the business of the NFL and where it's all going. We're playing our London game this year, so we're discovering all that as fans here. We got a London trip and all that. But for the NFL, this whole Vegas thing and, Al Davis's 4-decade fight with his partners in the NFL. I find this thing fascinating. Jerry Jones getting involved and Banks getting involved, trying to lure the Raiders to Las Vegas. It feels like this is going to happen, right, Jim?
Yeah, it feels like the momentum was there. I think a year ago it looked like the momentum was there, that the Raiders were really going to go to Vegas. I think it slowed a little bit. I think one of the major investors backed out of the deal. But I think the NFL kind of wants it to happen because the situation now is Oakland doesn't really have the stadium they need a different place to play. It doesn't seem like the Bay Area is the most logical place to build a new stadium. We hear all the debate about should cities finance new stadiums, and I think Vegas is a place where there is money, and the league is curious about it. And we all know the future, probably with daily fantasy, with fantasy sports, with maybe legalizing gambling maybe in more states, that it's inevitable that we see it right now. There's a hockey team next year starting. The NHL is going to Vegas. So, the next logical step is the NFL.
He is Jim Cherusimi. You can follow his journey at Jim Chair out on Twitter as well as at WSJ and the Wall Street Journal. Jim, great catch up with you, man. We'll be monitoring the rest of this free agency stuff as we get up onto the draft in Philly next month. Always great having you on.
Thanks for having me.
You got it. Jim Cherusimi from the Wall Street Journal. You can find me out in the Buy a Toyota Audio Vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device. Just download the TuneIn Radio app. Reminder, we have this big trip coming to London later on in the summer. We're also going to be doing Green Bay. We're going to be doing Nashville. We're going to be doing Oakland. Or Vegas. I guess we're doing Oakland. I don't know. Minnesota as well. The schedule's coming out. In about 3 weeks, we'll have more information on all that. But all the London stuff is up now. You go to the Road Trips tab. There's some new information up there, and you could certainly email me. Like Mr. Angelos, I am a very available individual. Nasty at WNST.net. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook, as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. Monday night, if you're a Caps fan, come on out, rock the Red with us. Our little annual get-together with my old pal Barry Trotz. We're going to be doing it at a new location location this year. We're going to be up in Hampstead at Greenmount Station, mainly because I want the crab cakes, and I love the Carroll County folks. But also, we haven't done any Caps stuff up there. Every time I'm up there, there's Caps fans, people watching the games. So this is a great, great opportunity to come on out, say hello to head coach Trotz, meet him on Monday night. Hopefully, between now and then, the Caps play some better hockey than they did out in California last week. I'll try not to bring that up, although I'm sure Trotz will bring that up because he's an accountable individual. The Buy a Toyota Audio Vault is also on the website, but if you need breaking news, you need to be on the WNST Tech Service. That is brought to you by Coons Ford Security Boulevard. And Dennis will be here on Thursday from 3 until 5, driving you home, getting you ready for Hoopology and the weekend and whatever remnants of the World Baseball Classic you'll be watching this weekend, as well as we cheer on Maryland down in Orlando. Morning newspaper ships to your email inbox each and every morning. It's all brought to you by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com. It's still $10 a month to get in the best shape of your life at Planet Fitness. And Planet of Triumphs also give you some inspiration here. If you're shoveling out there and you're thinking about summertime and getting in shape, go to planetoftriumphs.com to learn more. I'm Nestor. This is WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore. And we never stop talking Baltimore sports.